Tonight is the premiere of Big Brother, and here I am with my boot list. So, I wanted to be one of, if not the last one, to get their boot list out. And the reason why that I felt like being the last one I wouldn't have minded is because I took a lot of interest in looking at a lot of people's boot lists. I like some of them could look different than mine, they may look way different than mine, but you're going to have to see if mine's a lot like yours. And I think it could be similar to a lot of them, but it could be a lot different than mine as well. So let's get it on. So 16th, I have David, and the reason why I'm saying David is because I said in the cast assessment that he seems very likable, but the reason why I think that he is the first boot, and I think that Big Brother does more of that BS of sending someone home night one. I think since we didn't have it last season, they were definitely going to do it this season. And unfortunately, I think David was the victim of the night one boot. And the reason why is because I saw the casting photos, because the casting photos normally get released a couple days before the premiere, and David's just looks a lot different than everybody else's. In fact, like, there's one where they're all wearing the Big Brother shirt. I guess like the house is pink on it, and they all have their mouths open except for David. And the way that David was put into that photo, it looked it looked out of the ordinary. It looked like someone that was just photoshopped in there at the last minute. So that is my speculation on David being the first boot, because either David was committed to being the David's going to be David, or he was the first boot and he was just photoshopped in there at the last minute. So it's either he went against the grain with the house. Like, if they all do them together, like, I'm not sure how that works out. I don't know if they all go out there one by one, or if they all go out there together, like, after, like, maybe on day two-ish, probably. But I don't know how that works. But I unfortunately think David is going to be the first boot, just based off of that speculation. In 15th place, I have Catherine. So the reason why I think that is because I'm basing this off of an audio leak that happened a couple of days ago. Now, I had I saw a little bit of the audio leak, but they had said that Catherine is acting paranoid around the house and she thinks that everyone is after her, they're conspiring against her. So I think this is based off of complete paranoia. In 14th, I have Isabella. I think that they're going to want to get rid of her because they think she's going to be too smart, because the stereotype completely. Because Big Brother is just, it's a game about stereotypes. And unfortunately, I think this is going to be one of those. I don't know how to describe it, but I think that they're going to just get rid of her early. I think they're going to make some kind of excuse about she's playing a good game and she has to be taken out early, but we all know that it's going to be a person of color pagonging like it normally is, with the exception of last season. But that's only because, really, I don't want to get into it. That's only because they were aligned with Tyler. So 13th, I have Cliff, and I have Cliff because I think they wanted to give him like a pass for 1 week. Like, they didn't want him to be the first boot because they didn't want to be that stereotypical old guy first boot. I think that I think whoever's going to win that first head of household was not going to put up Cliff because they didn't want to be that guy to send out the old man. And I think now that we're like probably 3 weeks into the game at this point, I think Cliff is going to be the elimination right here. I think they don't want to take Cliff too far into the game, but I think Cliff is going to. I think it's the fourth boot here. So I think Cliff will be that fourth boot. Fifth boot, 12th place, I have Sam. And I think Sam, I had him in my tier 2 of probability to win. So I thought he could win if one thing went differently. But I unfortunately think that this one thing, it doesn't go differently. And I think Sam, I think this could be the surprise pre-jury boot. Like, I think it's going to be like a massive surprise, with the exception of probably David being that night one boot. I think this could be a surprise. I could see this being like Sam, where he's probably either a big threat in the challenges, because I can't see a lot of these guys like winning like a bunch of these challenges in a row. Like, I can't see like a James Ryan out of this cast at this point. Although maybe Jackson Mickey could be that James Ryan of the season. But I think it could be Sam early on. Like, I could see Sam probably winning the first veto competition, or he could probably win the third one. This could be a possible physical threat kind of standpoint, or if he does something that completely upsets the house. Because I've seen some speculation from the fans saying that Sam might be the guy that says something or does something that offends the whole house. So now, if it's status quo in Big Brother, we're at the jury phase. So 11th place, first member of the jury, I have Kemi. And I'm just basing this off of complete Big Brother history, and it's got nothing to do with anything, but I saw a post about they were predicting that Kemi was going to be the first member of the jury because Bailey was the first member of the jury, Da'Vonne was the first jury member, and I believe Candace was a first jury member in BB15. And that's what I'm basing it off of, because I think that, like I said, Big Brother is a stereotypical type of game, and I think they want to continue the stereotypes. 10th place, second member of the jury, I have Jack. And Jack has been a pre-juror in some of the, like, not really the, just on the verbal boot list, kind of like this one. This is a verbal boot list. Like, it's not, the boot list I have, it's not like the ones I've been seeing where they put, like, the X's or something over who they think gets eliminated that week, or they're not putting the full detailed, like HOH, POV, noms, that kind of deal. I think Jack has been a pre-juror, and I think at least two Big Brother YouTube content creators that I've looked at. About two or three of them. But I think Jack makes it to the jury. I think he's likable enough to stick around to the jury phase of the game. So, 9th place, third member of the jury, I have Holly. And I think that she possibly gets into a showmance here. I really don't know with who. This could be a situation where it's maybe Jack, or it's with possibly Jackson, but I think it could be Jack. And I think, like I said, a lot of the times in showmances, the guy goes home before the girl does. And I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 exceptions where the guy has gone home before the girl has. Number 7, I have 8th place, and the 4th member of the jury, I have Jackson. And I think this is it's the jock that we got to get rid of because he's winning all these competitions. And I think Jackson at this point, I predict if Jackson makes the final 8, I think he will have won at least 2 Power Veto competitions and probably had a household competition. So I think he'll have about 3 competition wins to his name if he makes it to the top 8. So I think this is a got to get rid of the physical threat kind of deal, which I don't see why I have to get rid of the physical threats, because it's not really a physical game at a certain point of the contest. It's usually only a physical game to like the final 7 or 6. Like, after that, I think it's more of a mental game, competition-wise, than it is physical. So I never understand why they get rid of the physical threats in the game. I would probably get rid of the mental threats first. 7th place, I have Nicole, and like I said, I think she will make final 7 from the cast assessment, and I think she makes it to 7th place here. I think it's a matter of, like I said, when it gets like the final 5, final 6, the game starts to get mental, and they're going to think that she's going to win these mental competitions, and then she'll be that boot that week. Speaking of which, I think this would be the point where it's a double eviction at this point. So, 6th place, I have Christy. And this is, if Big Brother history is on my side here, this is a double eviction. I think they get rid of Christy because she could be a front runner to win this game. She probably has the best game possibly strategically at this point. because I think Christie seems very strategic. In fact, there was a post that says that Christie and Tommy are like Facebook friends or something, and there's like no twist, so the casting of this was just horrible. But I think Christie gets eliminated at sixth. I think if you were smart, you'd put Christie and Tom on the block together. But of course, they don't really know that they're like acquainted with each other. Well, friendship, acquainted, or whatever. But I think Christie gets eliminated in the double eviction. So after the double eviction, in fifth place I have Ovi. And Ovi is someone that I really want to see win this game, but I don't think he can. But I put him as my favorite, or one of my favorites, in that tier 1. Because I think Ovi, if he plays it smart, if he gets the right ride or die, he could win this game. But I don't think Ovi wins this game because I think that they realize that the later the game gets, the more mental the competitions are. And if Ovi plays off that he's not a super fan, he could definitely win this game. But I don't think that he has it in him to win this one because I think they're going to think he's the smartest guy in the house and he remembers everything. He may get caught trying to study the dates, like study the days, like in the house, like what day did, I don't know, this competition happen. If it was on like day 29, like he could be caught remembering that. Because people get caught in things all the time. Like they can, I don't know how to explain it. They can get caught like looking at stuff. They can get caught like reading a memory wall. So it bases off of the game's going to get mental towards the end, and Ovi's the biggest threat to win those competitions. So that's why I have Ovi finishing 5th. In 4th place, so we're at the final 4 at this point. And finishing 4th, I have Annalise. And I want to actually go through 4 through 1 really quick if we're going in depth on stuff. In 4th place, I have Annalise. In 3rd place, I have Jessica. So my final 2 is Tommy and Nick. And I could definitely see either one of these 2 winning in the jury if it's these 2 in the end. So this is my speculated ride or die team. I could see this being like a Renegade type of deal between Dan and Memphis, or Dan and Memphis recreated. I could see like a Hitman kind of deal. But Tommy and Nick in the final 2, I think either one of them could win in the jury if it's these 2. But I think by a vote of 6-3, I think the winner of this game is going to be Nick. So I have Nick as my winner and Tommy as my runner-up. And the reason why I have, well, let me backtrack a little bit. Here's my final 4. So I have Annalise finishing 4th. I think Nick is going to win the head of household, or not head of household. I think he's going to win the veto. I could see Tommy and Nick winning HOH veto towards that final 4. I could see them being the hitmen, like the Cody and Derek, or the Renegades, Dan and Memphis, and they say, well, I think we have an easier shot of beating Jessica in the final head of household competition. So they send home Annalise because even though I said that the game gets mental towards the end, the first part is always an endurance. And I think they're going to be threatened by Annalise in endurance challenges more than Jessica. So I think that's going to be that simple. I think they make the simple move and take Annalise out at 4, keep Jessica in at the final 3 because they know they can beat her easily. And then Jessica finishes 3rd because that's the final 2 alliance. And then they go head-to-head against the jury, and by a vote of 6-3, I think Nick is the winner. So, the reason why I think it's similar, because I think quite a bit of boot lists that I've seen, they have Nick as the winner too. So I think Nick is a pretty popular winner pick. I think he's the most popular winner pick that I've ever seen. So that is my Big Brother 21 predictions. Enjoy the season, and I will see you soon.